Mic check 1 2, man. You know what it is, DJ Z Nice, and we are back, episode number 70.
70.
3, 2, 1 podcast. Yeah, 70 with an M.
What up?
And you know, we've been off for a little minute, but I just love some. I mean, it just depends on who you are. Now, I know, like, because even the podcasts I be following, I be like, damn, where's they at? They're like, you know, what y'all been doing? And they'll come back, they'll be like, well, I went over this, and this.
Right.
So a lot can happen in a week, but a lot can happen in a month too.
This is true.
You know, depending on what you know how you do it, but. You know how we got to do it. It's the homie DJ Z Nice. I got my other homie.
Girl Red.
And my other homie. Cold in the motherfucking clutch.
She's out being a good father.
Yeah,
right
being
now.
a good father. That's what we're supposed to do as black daddies.
black daddies.
Yeah, black daddies. You know.
Hashtag black daddies.
Hashtag black daddies. You know what I'm saying? Your kid gets sick or whatever, you got to go do what you got to do. Your kid get hurt, you got to do what you got to do.
You know what's so creepy about this, though?
What?
Is that, so I have Time Hop on my phone, so it keeps up with, like, all the shit that I posted over, you know, a course of a couple years. And this time last year, I probably want to say probably like a week out, probably last week or something like that, Murph had a situation again, and I think it has something to do with Bash, but we had to interview Chris Gotti, Art Gotti's brother.
We did, though.
I'm talking about, it's eerie how it just keeps seeming to happen.
That's
like
crazy.
around the same time.
But then I'm thinking about it, though. We actually interviewed Chris Gotti.
Chris Gotti.
Like,
that's
you know, it was major because we wasn't really thinking about it. We just like, oh, we're doing this interview. But now when I sit back and look and I listen to all my other, now he's been on all the platforms that I admire.
Yeah,
every last one of them since he's been on ours. And I was like, okay.
We in rare air over here.
Hit me with the Uzi shoulder.
Uzi shoulder.
I was feeling. But nah, without further ado, we got a special guest in the building. Failed to success.
Good job.
Yeah, I did. Because sometimes I be fucking shit up like Charlamagne. Like Charlamagne. You know what I'm saying? My wife be like, hey, nigga, look, you fucked that up.
Right.
And you
slow
fucked
it
that
down.
up.
Let's do this. There you go.
But we got Miss Chelsea A Ellis in the building. Can we get a round of applause? What's popping off with you?
The desk
I'm sorry. Because my mic
can't even
be
hear
so loud. You know what I'm saying? I'd be like, damn.
I say you gotta get him with the good old hearty church clap, but I mean, do shout music. Stop it.
How you doing?
I'm doing great. I'm glad to be here.
That's what's up, man. I'm glad you're here on episode number 70 of 321 Podcast. I'm glad we made it to 70. I'm glad that you own it. And I feel like this is just dope because we're trying to succeed and go all the way to 100. You know what I'm saying? And what better way than to come with a nice little, you know what I'm saying, book for us to read for motivation, of course, right?
Are you going to read that?
Definitely. It's an easy
Charlamagne.
It
is, though.
I'm going to read it. I'll read it.
Okay.
I made it easy for everybody.
It is.
And you acting like it's,
the font's even big.
No, it's nice, though. It's nice. No, I could. Don't get it twisted.
Look, I even made the font big.
For the older people that want to, I want to read, baby, but my glasses
ain't quite strong. I'm going to keep it true. You know what I'm saying? Like, you can get through this, you know, in a toilet sit down. You can get through this in a hairdresser. You can get through this in, like, a haircut. You know what I'm saying? If your barber allows it. I feel like it's just thick enough and just right. And she's right. The font is right. You know what I'm saying? We're above, like, 12. 12 font, a little bit bigger than that.
That Times Roman?
Times Roman. Yeah, Times Roman. But how you doing, man? Let's talk about this book that we got here.
Good. Yeah, I wrote this book actually, it's been about a year now. So I wrote it when I was 20 years old.
Okay.
And I was getting started in business, and I just wanted to kind of sit down and write everything that I was learning through my experience. Because when I graduated high school, I kind of took a different route. I said I didn't want to go to college, but I wanted to be a business owner. Yeah. I had no clue what type of business I wanted to have, but I knew I just wanted to have my own business. So
I don't think so you had to be like 17, 18. I don't think
I was 18.
Mindsets like I want to own my own business at 18.
So I was 18 years old when I kind of made that choice of doing that, and then from then I just kind of invested in my education through going to different seminars around the U.S. and then invested into a lot of mentors and coaches, as well as my parents were my main coaches. My mother, she's a hairstylist, so she's self-employed. And then my father, he's an entrepreneur, so he's done every type of business. Most people familiar with like Thunder Over Louisville. Right. He's in charge of the cleanup. Once Thunder Over Louisville is over with, he has a contract with that, as well as he used to have a company that cleaned up all of your major parking lots like St. Matthew's Mall, Oxmoor Mall, and all those type of things. So I was raised in that atmosphere of seeing my parents, you know, making their own money, you know, making things happen, but being able to also have a lifestyle to where they enjoyed it and wasn't miserable. So I wanted that as well. So
Yeah, that's a major thing. I think that's what we all really strive to do. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Instead of working 10, 12 hours a day and stuff for someone else.
Right.
Or making them rich while doing it.
Exactly.
So, why the title?
Because after really, my thing is I was always striving for success. So figuring out what it was to be successful. And then I looked at many people that I seen that were successful, like Steve Harvey, Oprah Winfrey, and people like that.
Yeah.
And when I kept on looking at these successful people, I realized that they had a lot of failures. They had a lot of times where they didn't think they was going to make it. Famous people always get, they might go bankrupt. Like all these horrible things may happen, but they kept going.
Yeah.
Right. And then I looked at people who may not be what we call successful, and I realized that they didn't keep going.
Yeah.
They stopped. They let those failures, stop them from reaching the success that they could have got if they would have, kept going after their dream.
Or what they say, a lot of people stop when they're
there, right?
They're
We
right
almost there.
Almost there.
Exactly. So I realized that, and I was like, man, that could be one simple thing that can help people reach their dreams and their goals. Just realizing that, failure isn't a bad thing.
No.
Let's make it a good thing.
Yeah, make it a learning experience.
Yeah, make it just the journey of you getting to your success. So that was kind of my reason for writing this book, and then, naming it Fail to Success.
Like, when I hear people, they be like, I wrote a book, or I'm writing a book, or showing, I be like, man, that's so much writing. Like, I was the cat.
That takes some special dedication.
It does. Like, I was the cat to where, in college, they'd be like, we got a 15-page paper due. I'm thinking, how can I pay you?
Right.
Who can I pay?
Right,
you know what I'm saying?
exactly.
It was like, who can I pay? Like, I ain't gonna front. A couple of times I did. I just sat down with my homie, and he typed, and I talked.
Right.
And we just smoked, and that was it. Like, it got it done. I did that on a few of them. But I wanted to say, it has to take a lot of discipline and dedication to even get through a book. Like, what was the first initial starting process? Like, how did that
Definitely. What helped me was when I was going to a lot of workshops and stuff, blogging was the new big thing. Mm-hmm. So I got into blogging. So I was,
I'm pointing over here, y'all, to my homie Red, because she's the shit. Like, she that's what she does. Like, it's,
blogging.
You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
It's like I like the way she does it, but,
Right.
It's like a asshole approach, but it's a good approach.
You gotta have that.
And it kind of catches your attention, because I'm not even the type that I ain't gonna front. Like, I'll read the books that I want to read. You know what I'm saying? Like, right now I'm reading the Rick Ross book because he came, and I was like, cool, I'm gonna read this Rick Ross book or whatever.
Well, I started thinking about the rap. I was like, when that nigga write a book?
Not him.
My bad.
The original.
The original Rick.
Right.
Yeah, even the stuff that Red's post, not only that she's my friend, I'll be looking, I'll be like, oh, okay,
right.
See, and she'll bait the shit out of someone. But I'm sorry.
I keep you in the loop.
Yeah.
Yeah, but blogging is real dope. So that's kind of what I got started when it came to writing. So I made it a goal to write and do a blog at least once a week, at the most once a day. So after doing that for about a year, and I got all this content, at that time I didn't have a product or anything. I was just learning and then writing it and, sending it out to social media. So then one of my mentors came to me and said, well, now it's time for you to take this content that you've been giving out for free, and now you got to sell it. Mm-hmm. But the way you sell it is you put it and you package it together to where they can learn and go from one step to another. So that's kind of how they taught me. They was like, just take all the blogs you have. It's okay that you gave it out for free, but take that same information, package it into a product, put your cover on there. People will still pay for it, even though they've already got the information. They're paying for it because they like you, they trust you, and they want to support you in your business. So I did that. I went back through my blogs. I, got the good information. I added stuff to it, and really that basically was the creation of my book. So it made it a little bit easier too.
Yeah,
so I didn't have to sit down and just write all at once and stuff like that. But I had my content already that I could use, and that's the good thing about the internet and what we have now. A lot of stuff we do, we can change it. We can make a podcast into a webinar. We can then change that and make it into a book. We can then make it into an event. All the same content, and then make money with it multiple times. So
okay, let's talk about these seminars. Oh, my bad, you got any?
No, go ahead.
Because I don't know why I got so many questions back to back.
No, that's fine.
Okay, let's talk about.
I told you weren't gonna EQ this. You was gonna jump in. I'm gonna let you jump in.
I'm sorry. Because I don't know. The thing that intrigues me the most is I feel like I wasn't necessarily brought up in a household to where it was like someone like hustling or whatever, but I just seen hustlers.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? I always seen hustlers. I don't care what they did. Like, they was hustling in a different way, whether it was legal or illegal.
Right.
And what intrigued me was just how they was either self-taught or taught by somebody else, because I know I wasn't learning that in school because I was going to school. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, they ain't teaching this. it's like those seminars and the self-taught people. Like, what was the? I guess my question is, what was the best seminar that you went to? What was the one that was most impactful? 3-part question, and how, like, would you really recommend it to other people investing in yourself? And like, well, how much would some of those cost?
Definitely. So when I first got started, around 19 years old, when I first really got started going to a lot of different seminars, and my goal was to go to seminars outside of Kentucky because I wanted to see what, people were doing in other areas. Because a lot of times we trap ourselves into what's going on here in our local city to where we don't realize that there could be, a conference in Atlanta that has people coming from China and people coming from Australia and all around the world that could teach you things that, you don't know. So that was one of my things. My goals was to go to other locations. So I got involved with this company that specialized in online marketing, so teaching you how to use the internet to make money. So they had speakers teaching you about blogging, teaching you about how to use YouTube, social media.
Were you taking notes at these seminars?
Yes.
Okay.
Tons of notes.
You still have the notes.
Tons of notes, right. Tons of notes. I'm still connected with a lot of the leaders, and it's a good thing because they, are there to help people. I can still hit them up and email them, and they answer questions and help me type of thing. So, so what I did was with that company, they had events every 3 months in different areas. So for a whole year, every 3 months, I was going to one of their events. They had them in Las Vegas, Orlando, so it was fun too. Yeah. And it was amazing because, like I mentioned, they had people traveling in for the weekend for just to be able to be there at these conferences, and they were coming from Australia, taking 24-hour flights to come here for the weekend.
Damn.
They were coming from Africa. They were coming from, Canada, all these different places to come and, learn as well as speak. So really, I learned a lot within that year from all of the conferences, but mainly mindset is the most that I got from all those events. Is that first it starts with you believing in yourself, right? Because if you don't believe in yourself, then nobody else will. And then also being able to, just stay motivated through it all.
Man,
just staying motivated, because you're going to be plenty of failures are going to happen that makes you want to stop, but you have to be motivated. And that's the good thing about the events every 3 months, because really every 90 days we need to recharge. Yeah. We need another motivation, whether it's
and unless you said 3 months, it's like every quarter. Like,
exactly. So we need to kind of recharge, regather ourselves, set our goals differently, change it up a little bit. So those events helped me do that, to where I was able to meet a lot of leaders, be able to, have them as coaches and mentors and things like that, and really be able to then bring it back to Louisville, Kentucky, and figure out how I could make it work for myself and my business. So it was great. It was really a great experience to be able to meet all those different types of people.
You have to hard swallow.
And I know you mentioned the price, and like with those events, that was between $100 and $200.
You just pay for your own travel?
Yeah, for a ticket, and then pay for my own travel getting there. And then a lot of times, if you have somebody that might want to go, I'll try to. And there was even people coming in there, they would sleep in the lobbies. They'd pay for their ticket. They would sleep in the hotel lobbies just to be there at that event. Damn. That's how great the events were. But they was like, I ain't got no money for no hotel room. But people might see them in the lobbies. They'd be like, okay, you can come in the room and stay with me. So you had a lot of things like that, to where people were like so dedicated to being there, to trying to, learn and grow their business. So it was real cool.
I need to go to a seminar of some sort.
I wonder if they got podcast seminars.
No, they do. Like when I went to South by Southwest, like, because it was my first time going, so I wasn't really aware. Like, you had to buy these different bands. Yeah. Now, the days that we got there, now South by Southwest is like a week, 2 week thing. Yeah. When we got there, it was like I was there for James Lindsay. And when we got there, it was like the video game and like the clothing expo going on. But earlier, it was a podcast, seminar going on. And I just didn't have the right band. You know what I'm saying? I just wasn't there at the right time. Yeah. So I was like, man, next time I'm going next year, I'm going to make sure I play that one. And go to the stuff that I know that like for DJs or for podcasts and things.
Now that I think about it, I think Teddy D's working on something like that here, like locally for podcasts. So I think that's coming up real soon, where he's just gonna have like different people coming down and, you know, just basically speaking from your experiences with the, you know, the podcast world and stuff like that. So I think that'll be dope. And I think he has there's a Facebook page that's just for, I want to say local black podcasts. So yeah, people just be throwing their links up. So one day I just went in there and was like, yo, check this out. I don't know.
Because we have a lot of them, believe it or not. Like, you know, I was just like, damn.